Hey guys, so welcome to another episode of Vanguard Tactics, and today's masterclass I'm joined by Antony Chu. So Antony, or Tony, better known as, is the ETC England vice captain, and he is an absolute phenomenal player, picking up many first places at majority of the UK competitions over the last decade, I think, of competitions. This is an absolute corker of an interview, and we're going to be discussing the Eldar Flyer list. Chu has kind of been very well known for running this list and kind of making it as popular as it has become. So we have a really good talk about everything involved in regards to how the list plays, what it does, what you can do against it, different aspects, and ultimately, how do you shut it down? So guys, this is an absolute brilliant interview. I hope you like it. So remember, make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you another time on the next masterclass. Welcome, Tony, to the show.
Hi guys. Hello.
How you doing, mate?
Yeah, fine. Not too bad. Weekend of terrible weather. Great.
Yeah.
I think I'm 40K though.
It's not too bad here. I've got like a glowing office of sunshine at the moment, so I'm pretty happy. But mate, first of all, thanks so much for coming on to the show. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, we're already sort of chatting away for about 10 minutes, and we thought actually we better start recording. So so mate, for the listeners, if they don't know who you are or haven't, sort of seen your records come up on BCP or followed any of the ETC, just give the guys a bit of a sort of a lowdown. What sort of got you into 40K when you were? Did you start when you were younger?
Okay. So I'm Tony Chu. I've been playing 40K since I was about 7, when I think one of my was living abroad, and one of my friend's dad bought him Space Crusade, and I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And at the time, loved a bit confused about it. Then we got Hero Quest, amazing. And then I remember driving on the bus through, it was Chester one day, my mum, and I saw Games Workshop, and I thought, I didn't know what it was. And then we went in, and I recognised the models and the Terminators, and I bought my first ever model, was a old metal Storm Shield Terminator. And from then, been hooked, really. That's it. My first time was Space Wolves, carried that right through. Stopped when I was kind of the cool years, from 16 to 21, 22. And then after uni, rediscovered 40K again. I just started playing again. And I've got armies of orcs, Space Wolves. Mostly, I've got virtually every Imperial vehicle there is now. And a massive Eldar collection as well. And I think I got back into the competitive side of 40K around 2008, 2009, I moved to Chelmsford, and there's nearby Colchester, there's a great store there, 40K Gaming, and they've got a big tournament scene and lots of game nights. And I just started going to tournaments, got into the GT, went to Warhammer World, started doing the independent GT as it was. And then 2012, I discovered the ETC, and I was like, an international team tournament, that sounds amazing. Got involved in that, was lucky enough to get on to the team the first year that I applied. And I haven't really looked back from there. So I'm the vice captain for England now. I've been playing for them. This will be my 6th year. I've run Space Marines. I've run Iron Hand Star. I'm on Eldar at the moment. So we'll talk about some dirty flyer lists, I think,
in
the next few minutes. But that's me at the moment. So you might see me up and down the country at any. Doesn't really matter if it's ITC or ETC. I just try to get as many tournaments in as I can.
Yeah.
So I've been to a few big ones. I'll be at AOC. I'll be at Cali in the summer. I'll be at ETC, obviously. I'll be at London, and then I haven't really planned past September, so we'll go from there.
Nice, mate. Me and you have never actually played against each other, have we?
Dodging me, Steve. Do you know what I mean? Just keep
aiming.
Yeah, that's what it is. Whenever you just need that win, you go, I threw that game, Tony, just because I didn't want to play it.
I was like, mate, it's my dice, real bad.
One, yeah.
Classic. Yeah, but do you know what? It was funny because I went to it was like my first ever tournament was the last ever tournament of 7th edition. And then I found out that day that there was an England team, and I was like, I'm making it.
That is, what a time to join the game. That was such a flux from 7th to 8th.
What are your thoughts on the new edition that is 8th edition?
remember the indexes came out, and I went to Elm with a load of the England guys. We played games for the whole weekend, and I was really disappointed because 7th edition, I know there was loads of rules. It was really sprawling, and it was broken in lots of sections. But I felt like they couldn't really break it anymore. It kind of reached the kind of level norm, and the indexes felt really bland. But you had to give them credit; they were just going to relaunch the whole line, and it's funny, things like at the time I went, well, it's stupid, you should just put a rule of 3 in. They put that in, and it made the game so much better. The codexes and the stratagems, which people were like, oh, command points is not going to work. They're great. And even things like the Vigilus book, I mean, people started crying out that stratagems and formations were going to start. The sky was falling and the game was going to become really unwieldy again. And there are loads of books, and there are loads of FAQs, and maybe one day, I'm sure they will, go to a digital book that you can buy, or they'll encourage people to buy digital books and have it on their iPad or their tablets and have the updates there. But I love it at the moment. I think there's lots of variety. You don't see people running the same lists, even with net lists thing. I suppose it got a bit bad with the Castellan and Guard suit, but they've been really quick to act. So from that side of it, I'm really loving the game at the moment. I know some people say, well, it's just a dice game, but 40k has always been that. 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, if you went first and you had a gun line, you won. That's always been the mantra, or a way to try and beat it anyway. So for me, I like it. I enjoy it. But I suppose it's my main game. I've dabbled with AOS and Warhammer and X-Wing and War Machine, Warlords, to keep them back to 40k.
Yeah. Mate, it's the only game I've really got into, to be honest, since getting back into the hobby like 2 years ago. So
there's some lovely models for other lines, and they do tease you in. And X-Wing's come close, but I think I'm like, if I really jump in to X-Wing, I'll never come out. So that's I must stay clear.
Cool. So you've got the ETC event coming up in Serbia, isn't it, this year?
Yeah, that's the one. Back in Serbia, that's my first year was in Serbia, and that was the second time they'd held it there. And they've just got a really, really good venue, really great transport. It's really cheap in terms of travel and accommodation for teams to come over as well. So I think it really is the whole package. It's a lovely city.
Cool.
Great.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to come over and play in the singles again.
The singles. Did you enjoy that last time? Because I've never done it. I've always been told bad things. And
do you know what? I did really enjoy it until game 3 on the first day. And because I've been traveling so much, I got the worst migraine I had to pull out. I can remember playing against this guy, and he was a Russian guy, and his English was a bit broken. Obviously, my Russian is great, so we, fantastic. And he was just kept asking me all these rules, and I was sat there like, mate, please just win anytime now. I'm happy just to go home. Like, I've been in the car for 24 hours straight with Manny, Alex, and Dan. Didn't sleep at all because they just snore horrifically, and I was there like, I just want to go home and just curl up. But apart from that, had some really cracking games, and it was wicked.
Well, they've added a little sprinkle of ITC points this year, haven't they, to entice people to stay in it? So I think there's
I think that's a great move, because I'm going to SoCal Open this year, and then the LVO. So I want to get as many points as I can.
LVO has become such a big thing now, hasn't it? I'm cursed. I'm a teacher. So there's just no way I can do that. Those January, February dates. I know Mike Porter did it last year, and he's the same thing, but he asked for special permission to get some time off. And you can't lie or have a wedding or something like that, because if it leaks on social media, or so you get back to the wrong person, that's your job gone. But everything else, I might look at one of the other ones that falls kind of around Easter time or summertime. There's what is it? The end of August, start September. Is that SoCal, or is that? No,
it's that one's end of October, start in November.
The Adepticon is kind of February, March time, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
There's another one. There is another one I'm thinking of getting. But anyway. Yeah.
So tell the guys a little bit about the ETC. So obviously England have got a team. How many other countries play in the ETC?
So, gosh, I mean, there's anywhere from as low as 24 to up to around 40. And it's not just Europe anymore. It's, big team like America, for example, won it last year. Mm-hmm. Australia coming this year. The New Mexican team are trying to get started. They wrote me in. Well, there you go. So
I'm getting going the moustache, I'm going to get the hat. I'm going to go for it.
In a poncho and a massive sombrero, it's going to be the look.
I love Mexican food. I'm literally there.
Well, so it seems from all around the world. The rules for the team company, you have to have at least four players from the home nation, and then you can have up to four additionals or mercs that have to have that nationality. That might change for the future, just because there's some outcry, I suppose, about some teams and their selections this year. But it's this is my 6th year of doing it, and it's a really fantastic atmosphere and community. And it is a tournament, an 8-man team tournament. So you're each allowed to have one copy of each army per team. So it's finding the 8 best lists, and you'll find that when you're involved in the teams that set up, you spend most of your tournament year from summer to summer planning what your next list is going to be and adapting to the game. The ETC always use the Games Workshop rules, so we use a combination of kill points, maelstrom, and eternal war missions. We don't do. There has been talk of using ITC missions, and that maybe that'll come in one day. But it's always a voting system for the captains, so that the elected leaders for each team do have an active say in the game and the missions we play. But it's a fantastic event, and it's a wonderful atmosphere. I've got lots of friends from all over the world, and there's no prize at the end of it, which I think is great. You get a little trophy for coming first, and it really is just the kudos of having won the ETC. And I hope it stays like that forever, because I think sometimes you add in cash prizes or big prizes, or I look at things like ITC and Vegas, and I do wonder if that makes it a bit harder sometimes, and it does take some of the friendliness out of it. I haven't been over to one of the big tournaments, but that's something that people have fed back. It can be a bit more cutthroat when there's real.
Yeah, definitely.
So I would advise, if you ever get the chance to go to ETC, you can go and play in the singles. You can watch the main event. It's a fantastic atmosphere, and the social side of it's awesome as well. There's games going on all around that event. So. And
just to summarise, guys, there is every single country is selecting their best 8, right? It's the pinnacle.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. Some different countries do different things. I mean, Denmark have a scaffolding system where the captain and kind of the first players form a team, and then they have a little tournament to do the rest. France have a series of 18-man tournaments over the year, but the same 8-man team keeps winning. I know Wales and Scotland have their own individual selection and ranking tables that they do for that, and England. We've tried different things over the years. And what we actually did this year was we went back to the American system. The Americans last year, the year before, previously years, they hadn't really placed it done very well. And they'd always had this thing that they used to take the winner from each of their big conventions, put them in a team with the captain and his vice captain. And that wasn't really working, because they got a disparate group of guys that might kind of know each other, but America's a big country, and they don't really link. And you can do a Skype call and have some sort of communication. Didn't work as well. So the captain last year picked a group of 8 guys that he knew that he played within 40k that he could trust, and built around that. And this year, that's what Josh, the England captain, has kind of gone for. Having said that, we've got 3 players that never played for England before playing for the team. So it's not a question of being best friends with the captain or with the vice captain. It's more go and show people that you can play 40k really well. I mean, I picked one of the guys, James Ramsey, with winning games with Necrons, went 4-1 at Cali with a Necron list that caught loads of people out, beating things like the Classic Imperial Soup and with the Castellan. Matt Robertson was winning an AdMech shooty gun line list, for example. Mike Porter has just been on a roll this year and smashing things within the ITC. So we're always on the lookout for a new player who's got new ideas. I think that keeps it fresh.
Yeah.
For any sort of team event, you need a competition to get places. So.
Yeah, no, 100%, mate. And I love it. Obviously, I said, I've been very public about it. Like, I wanted to go for it this year, and I went to events and did the best I could, because that's all I can do, right? So, in this year, that's why I've gone for the tournaments I want to place as high as I can, get the reps in, and essentially establish yourself, because you need to as well. As I see it, because you can only use that same or only that book once. Yeah. You need to have a variety of experience under your belt, because if I rock up and I'm like, I'm really good at Eldar, and you're sat on the other side, well, the Eldar are going to be better in your hands, right? So
not necessarily.
I'll probably beat you, but anyway.
I was about to say, but we've played years where there's a guy who's really good for the team who plays this army, and somebody else is playing it. and you have to manage the team in that respect. And sometimes you have to give up an ally for a list, or say, oh, I really like the assassins on my list, but if I give it to this person, it really makes them a stronger player for the event. Because the team tournament is, I mean, the way the rounds score, if you don't know about ETC guys, is it's 8 20-0 games, and 75 to 85 is a draw, 86 or higher is a round win. So you get it's not like football, but it's 2 points for a win instead of 3. Yeah. 1 point for a draw, no points for a loss. So you just want the team win. You don't care if you win 6 rounds at 86. You just want to get the win.
So basically, it's the 8 teams results. So, for example, let's say England against USA, because a lot of the viewers that watch this channel are from the US, and they've obviously probably never played ETC before. So our 8 guys will go up against 8 USA guys.
Yeah.
And then obviously the results from each of those games will get stacked together, and we'll have hopefully a winner or draw or whatever.
And it's amazing how in the big games, it's amazing how many rounds were won like 86, 87 or lost by a point on the other side. Do you know what I mean? And you've been there and seen that with us. It's really close. And it's exciting. And for me, once you've played that side of the game, it's really hard to go back to just plain singles competition, because it gives an extra element and drive to your practice. I mean, because I don't look at it as a job or practice in that sense, but I enjoy playing the game, but I like the structure and the focus and try and improve to play certain situations. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, it sounds quality. So you have become particularly famous for a certain list, mate.
Oh, yes, my gift to the world.
And I don't know if it's a gift, plague, some would say, nuisance, menace, but I thought who better to get on to talk about this list than yourself. So what is the list we're talking about?
Well, the list started off at the Caledonian event in January, which I managed to just sneakily, like literally last dice roll, last game come first in. And that was 9 planes with ground support. So 9 Eldar and Dark Eldar Flyers, with a smattering of Psykers and Rangers on the ground. And then that was, from that event, Alex Harrison took that on, tweaked it a little bit for ITC, and nearly toppled the US guys and took the LVO a month later. And I think from there it's really just massively grown in out. But Eldar Flyers is a list. And I think the typical list you look at in tournaments now is kind of 7 planes, because that gives you enough for support. And it's usually 3 Dark Eldar planes, which will be 3 of the fighters, because from 135 points, with kind of 2 disintegrators and the missiles and a splinter rifle, they're just such a great combination. But they give you access to Agents of Vect, which is probably, between that and the GC the Cult stratagem, there's the same effect. They can be game winning if you shut down a key stratagem for your opponent.
Because I remember when I came to the first ever England training event that you invited me to. And I came along, I think I was running my Harlequin list, that book had just dropped. I actually did quite well with that, actually, at the time, with all those fusion pistols. And I remember you having all the planes out on the board at the time, and I was like, well, that looks fun.
Do you know what? I have...
And that goes back, way over, what's like 18 months ago or something?
That is... So I'm in my 40K collection, I got them out. I think I've got 21 flying stands for separate flyers that I bought. Because, years ago, I ran, I think it was called the Fluff Massacre. I ran 3 Hive Tyrants and some Rippers with 6 infiltrating Storm Talons from the Tyranid Hunters detachment from Ultramarine. So I had Tyranids and Tyranid Hunters in the same army.
Okay.
That was my first kind of flyer list. I've got 6 Orc Flyers. I've got 5 Storm Ravens, and then I've got my smattering of Eldar stuff to go with it as well. And for me, I love the aesthetic of the models, but I love the play style. I enjoy a fast-paced, versatile army. That I've tried horde lists and I've tried loads of bodies. It could be okay, but I find it a bit backbreaking, and I find it a bit hard. I find it hard to play a game where I can't react to your choices or your movements. Where from turn 1, I'm going to move in this direction. And things like Orcs, where you can do the jumps or you can do teleporter, that helps. But for me, being able to just put my models wherever I want them, that's such a powerful mechanic.
I love that as well. I think it's brilliant. That's probably why I collected Eldar for so long, was because of that.
And I did enjoy Ynnari, when they were about, and like in the event where I did take the planes for the first time in the Eldar version, it was 9 planes, and Yunari was an option, but I didn't used to like it that you'd buff up a unit and send it in and get it killed, and see if you could kill more than you could get your points with that, other than the Shining Spear unit, for example, or you try and keep a Dark Reaper unit alive for the long. It's not great, is it? A lot of games you just end up with 3 characters, a Wave Serpent, and Dark Reapers going, I hope I hold on to the points here.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's smashed enough of your opponent's army.
Yeah.
So tried that, didn't enjoy it. I think this is, it's just a cool list. Although it can be tough, I think, if you don't approach the game with a smile on your face and make it fun for your opponent, especially if it's a bad matchup for them, because it is so polarizing in terms of matchups.
Yeah.
You've either got the tools for it or you haven't.
Okay, so like kind of off the back of that then, so the list you took it, Callie, was that the one with...
So that one, I'd gone more Dark Eldar than most people take. I took 2 fighters. I took 2 bombers, because at the time, Deathwatch had just kind of got a buff, and they'd had the chapter-approved points drop, and I could recognise that they were really good obsec scoring that I thought Imperial players would jump right on. So I wanted some sort of mortal wound mechanic. So the bombers give you that. And then I went...
real thorn in my side, I tell you, when they started coming out.
Well, they're pretty good. And then I went double Hemlocks, because the auto-hitting flamers and the smites or the jinxes or whatever you're going to use, great utility powers, and they catch out misplaced characters, or they really help with things like leaving rushes, where you've got lots of strength 6 and strength 8 shooting in an Eldar list, not a lot that's a lot higher, so it really helps force through the damage. And then Crimson Hunter Exarchs, they'll be the ones that most people will play, because for 161 points you've got 4 star cannons and 2 pulse laser shots, rerolling 1s, rolling wounds against fly. They're just so cost effective.
Yeah.
So that was the list, with a Farseer on foot with the wings relic, an Autarch on a bike, and a Warlock on a bike. 3 units of Rangers. I lied. 2 units of Rangers and a unit of Dire Avengers, just because I wanted to have a bit more anti-infantry shooting to drop in and clear little objectives sometimes.
Yeah.
That worked really well. So
cool.
Double catapult.
So what does the list try to achieve? Like, what makes it so good?
So, for my eyes, I have spent a lot of 8th edition trying to come up with lists that can't be smashed first turn by my opponent. That's really hard. So I started off with Eldar -2 to hit as a mechanic. I was kind of toying around with, I mentioned to you before we started the call, there's one of the Irish ETC players last year took an Eldar list, which was, at the time, nobody took anything like it. It was 9, so 3 of each of the Eldar planes and 4 characters. And that was his 2K. And it was kind of a list that everybody went, oh my God, what is this? This is rubbish. It's going to be absolutely terrible. And in ETC, we do pairings. We make a little spreadsheet, usually. Most teams do this. And you kind of rate your success against these lists. And suddenly, when we got to that list, nobody wanted to play it on our team. It was kind of that realization that was really polarizing in terms of pairings and a team event. I remember at the time saying to the captain, I wasn't playing Eldar at this point. I was on Knights. I was going, please let me play that. And he's like, well, I don't think it's very good. We got to the event, and I don't think he lost any of his games. And that's big at the ETC. There's such a high standard. So I've been itching to try it. And that's where we came on with the list in Cali. And it was kind of last minute. I was chatting to one of my friends a couple of weeks before that I added the Dark Eldar in. And they were a game changer. I'm not sure if they'd be the same now, because the last set of FAQ updates where they tried to reduce the effectiveness of flies, but they've taken out Doom and Jinx, if you're not Eldar, that really hurts your Eldar.
Yeah, because they've disintegrators now at strength 5. They're very matchup dependent, aren't they? And the star cannons as well.
They're great, but I mean, if you're shooting an old boys unit, it's just, having the reroll wound or having the custom force field, if there is one, reduced by 1, is massive. That's a massive boost, and you'll still do good damage, but you were doing great damage before. So I think that's always the thing to consider, and it's why a lot of Eldar players have started to go pure Eldar and just go, you know what, I'll just take the hit on the chin. I won't have vet. I've seen some people put a patrol in to try and just keep something with the right keywords to get the stratagem in there. And maybe that's the way that list will move forward in the future. I've been trying Pure Craft World Eldar recently. So Calorie Mayhem recently I had 3 Fire Prisms, a Farseer and 8 planes. in ITC. And I thought I'd just get tabled a lot of times, but then nobody actually got to the ground units ever because there was 8 planes in front of it. So that worked better. I thought it would.
So since the FAQ, have you still been able to movement block people pretty effectively?
Yeah, I do you know what? I think if they were really going to change planes, if they made it so that you could deep strike and ignore planes, as long as you couldn't end your movement on the base or within an inch of the base, but you could deep strike within 9, for example, that would massively change the list, because you can't just block off the board. You can't just play like a Death Watch list and go, you can't land in any of these zones. You could drop your 30 Death Watch in one of your characters right in that area. You could table me, because ITC still doesn't use the no tabling rule that they added.
Okay.
Chapter approved. So when I took this list to Mayhem, I had 3 Fire Prisms and a Farseer. You kill them, I'm dead. I've lost the game. Automatic. But they didn't add that in. So movement blocking is just a case of me going, well, how far does your model move? And knowing if you've got a double move strap, or you can move and advance a certain extra amount. So it's just careful play anyway.
Okay, nice. And obviously you've got some pretty potent psychic powers, like you said. You can reduce the invulnerable saves of tough targets. You've got a mixture of all the weapon areas, like at least -2, -3, most of it.
Yeah, in the list. Gosh, let's see. The list I was running in January with the 9 planes, I think you only had kind of like splinter rifles and missiles that could have no AP. Yeah. Everything else is AP 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. And how did you get with the 3 Fire Prisms?
They were really good. Really? Well,
the range.
I'd fully kit them out. So they had the management ticks that are LA-TOC, but they had stones, and they had this cannon and a crystal targeted matrix, and you just send one of them at a time to get a target, and you just shoot. And I think they're at the back and they're tanky, and they're -1 to hit, and they've got 6+ feel no pain. You probably shoot the plane that's in your face. That can be that, you move within 12. It's also -1 to hit. Hasn't got the spirit of stones. You know it's going to reflex anyway if you shoot it with lightning reflexes and give you the extra -1. So I just found that actually people weren't shooting the ground units. And by the time they got through all the planes, I probably killed enough that it didn't really matter.
Okay, so the whole idea of your list then is not really to, I suppose in an ITC format, you're looking to hold an objective. Your opponent will probably hold more every turn, won't it?
Yes.
You're pretty much gifting that away, but you can probably guarantee that you're going to be scoring kill more every turn.
Yeah, so
that balances it out in a way, doesn't it?
Yeah, for ITC, you see a lot of people go to the double jet bike army, because you can quite easily make one of them with a LA-TOC. You can make it -3 to hit, so you can give it -1 LA-TOC, -1 from a psychic power, -1 for reflexes. So you can keep those 8, 9 bikes alive, and another one will fire and fade behind the ruin, and that's 2 objectives held. And then you can just block, or you can place objectives in the open and go to your opponent, right, stick something on this objective, please, because your firepower in the whole list is at least 36 inches range. And I suppose a mistake I see often when I see players playing the list or using the planes is to try and get their fire angles. They are giving their opponent more of a chance to shoot the planes than I would feel comfortable with. So I don't like getting too close. I've tried double hemlock. I'm not as much of a fan as a single one, because they usually die for just that reason. So I think for ITC, yeah, hold one, definitely. But I think the list for ITC is also really hard to get the secondaries out of. Again, things like recon, well, happily put a unit in each quarter. I'll remove them. How many more units have you got? Yeah. Whereas in return, I'm easily flying my planes all over it. It's things like that. You're right. I'm just thinking Mayhem was the last ITC event I played with the planes. And the games that were closest were when I struggled to stop the bonus points happening. That can swing against me.
Yeah.
But when I played Tom Higginbottom with Venom Spam, proper Venom Spam, I think it was like 13 or 14 Venoms. And it was only kind of around turn 3, 4 that I finally started getting
points.
A little lead ahead on. I was holding an objective, but just every turn. And he was nearly stopping me just getting that point. And every turn was a massive scrap just to hold an objective. Because you do need that point.
Yeah. Well, that's it. The thing is, if you can get that kill more, as soon as you don't get a hold or something, that is huge, isn't it? Because you're just gifting that opponent just easy points. Okay, nice. So then where does it start to fall down? What are some lists that you hate to see on the other side of the table?
Anything that can throw out lots and lots of shots.
Okay.
Not from one target, from one source, sorry. So, like when you play Orcs, for example, that really is a 50-50 first turn. If you haven't got Vect in your list and you've just got an Interceptor and Eldar planes, really tough. If the shock attack gun fires twice, it has the potential to kill 2 planes. Yeah. The looters, if they're on fire, can do that as well. If you've got Dog Eldar planes in that plane list, well, they're only -1 anyway. So you can fire quite effectively at those and take them down. I don't like to see hordes with invulnerable saves and/or feel no pain, and I don't feel that chaos hordes in terms of kind of plague bearers or Zangors with the buffs they can get on invuns and minuses to hit are good, because you just can't. Even with Doom and Jinx, you can't stack enough damage on to really force them off objectives, and then they've got flying characters behind who can smite. So that's the nightmare list. And I actually have been very lucky I haven't played one of those in the tournament. They're around, they're definitely knocking around up there, but I haven't hit one with the plane list. And I think that would be tough, because again, back in January, I played Simon Pridis' Orcs, and I only beat him turn 7, last dice roll, last morale check to lose the game for him. Otherwise, it was easily a 12 or 13 point win, and he would have won the tournament. I mean, that was such a good game, but that was a prime example of those lists struggle to get through bodies.
Yeah.
I think also it's. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I can remember playing Co last year.
Yeah.
At the Cali in the summer, and I had 3 Crimson Hunters with Star Cannons.
Yeah.
And Bates was like, "Nah, they're rubbish. Don't take Star Cannons. You've got to take Bright Lancers." I was like, "Well, I'm taking Star Cannons. Thank you very much." Took them, and I had 3 of those, and then I had Harlequins as well. And I think this was when Co had like 18 of those stupid.
Yeah, he did.
Was it 18 or 20, 24?
It was 18 big guns, yeah. It was.
Big guns, yeah. And then obviously I had the whole mass in the middle. And I just had to keep dancing back and forth. And luckily it was hammer and anvil, so I could just put something in range, pull it out. And I just had to be so just focus on killing something, moving away, achieving something, moving away. In what he would do is obviously to jump a unit over every single turn. And then he would only be able to charge some of my, what are they called, Star Weavers. And then my unit of 10 Harlequins, that was just the only thing that could kill Horde, had to go in, remove them, and then sort of reset before we'd send the next wave in. And it was an amazing game, but you just have to, the beauty of like the list like that in the hands of somebody like yourself, you're able to look at it and go, right, how do I play differently compared to how you might normally play? And like you said, you're already highlighted watching some other people going, I wouldn't do that.
If you want to find a way to really make the plane players struggle, you've got to make them put their planes in places they don't want to be. So that is a prime example. I played Manny most recently with a list that had Manny Cheaper, everybody plays for England, and he was using Deathwatch and had some Bulgrin in there. Putting Bulgrin in a massive ruin. I need to remove them off an objective. Well, I've got to fly the planes in a certain spot. That lets him control where his smash captains and go, where he puts his smites and where he puts his shooting in range. You've got to use the terrain. I mean, ideally you play a plane list on a massive board of ruins where everything is 9 inches tall and 11 inches wide, and you can hide the whole army. That's great. You won't always get those tables in tournaments. So you've got to make them come to the places they don't want to be. When they do come close, you've got to punish them with everything. I see players casting buffs on things, or like doing, double moving a guard unit to move forward for next turn, when I'm thinking, if that gets close to this objective, I'm just going to kill it. Shoot them, throw a grenade, fire everything. Never. I know it takes time, and tournaments, especially nowadays, are moving to chess clocks and things like that, but throw everything you've got, throw the kitchen sink at the plane that gets close, because every one that you take down is vital.
Okay.
And I think, as we discussed already, play the ground game. You want to look at the mission and go, how am I going to get points out of this mission? How is he looking to get points out of this mission with that plane list? How do I stop him? You're not going to stop me killing more, I think, unless you've got a really shooty list, like we said. So, 4 or 5 nights where everybody's got a Gatling cannon, actually that will hurt a plane list, because it's just the sheer amount of good quality 3+ to hit shots that are good strength, good rend, good damage. Smash captains, anything with fly, smites. The list of things you don't want to play with the plane list is actually quite long.
Yeah.
And as I say, 9 or 10 planes, I think that's going to, well, I haven't really seen many people run that at tournaments because it's quite extreme and it doesn't give you the scoring options on the ground.
So yeah, so for what I'm gathered there then, just listening to you talk about that, I suppose we've established that you're going to kill more every turn.
Yeah.
And that is your list's priority, is to kill more every turn and then to prevent any bonuses being scored, like you said. So you're then planning ahead, thinking, right, he wants to move to there so he controls all 4 objectives. If I remove that or stop that from happening, I can stop that bonus this turn. And obviously the other thing that you can focus on is scoring your secondaries, right?
That's right.
So whatever you've kind of picked in probably like, Recon's got a good one for you, I suppose, or anything movement related where you're in control is going to be great, right? Butcher's Bill, you're probably going to kill 2 units a turn.
That's the one. So Butcher's Bill, Recon, Mark for Death sometimes. I mean, like if you're playing the Claydis Grav tanks or Death Watch, you just go, well, I'm going to mark those for death. And then they're your focus in the first couple of turns.
Yeah.
Anything that's got the keywords that make the list tick. So Crimson Hunters and the Exarchs, they give you a wound against flyers. So you want to do that. You want to have buffs. Yeah. I mean,
so then as somebody playing the flyer list, you need to make sure that it is your primary objective to hold more every single turn. Because if you don't do that once, you're probably going to lose that game, even if it was by a point. Even if you're both maxed out all your secondaries, you're always going to get kill more, and it's hard to get the bonuses. So that's, I think, from if I'm playing against the Eldar list, I need to hold more every turn, and I need to try and get that bonus point and prevent you from doing that. And if there's any turn in which I can hide, hunker down perhaps, and stop you killing more, and if I can draw you on one of those, then all of a sudden we've got maybe 1, maybe 2 point swing back in my direction.
And if you can bum rush my ground units, or you can get something in to smash those, be it things like Eversor Assassins or a Vindica could snipe that Warlock that's sticking out, at the back. Great. I mean, some ITC missions, I'm not as experienced at ITC. I kind of hit a 50-50 split of kind of comp that I play these days. But some missions you can place your own objectives, can't you? And I think don't place them in the open. Place them on that corner of a ruin where I could put my unit strung around it, but the Terminator that makes the Deathwatch unit fearless, for example, is in the middle, or the Boss Knob is in the ruin. Think ahead, going, when I do get a unit on there, your planes aren't going to be able to see the whole unit all the time. And yeah, I can punish it with firepower, but there's going to be 2 guys left that you've got to take care of next turn.
Yeah, and that's when you could...
So sometimes one guy survives on a wound in the ruin, and the 2 CPs to keep him alive. Get you a point, get you an objective, get you a Maelstrom card.
Yeah, like my motto is when I talk about it on games and stuff is I would always swap CPs for VPs.
That's it. That's where you've got to be smart. I mean, I've seen people do stupid things as well, though. I mean, like in the same sense, I've seen people go, I need to kill that Hemlock. Well, I'll charge my Smash Captain into it. Okay, it's not an ignore Overwatch Smash Captain, so I get 2d3 auto hits at strength 12 minor. Do you know what I mean? And they bad saves and the guy dies, and you're like, it wasn't a good trade. Pick your battles, I suppose. Don't deploy everything on the line for a seize. I've seen that done as well. It can work, and you might tell that story, a few beers later of how I did it. I rolled the 6, but and some people advocate that as a play style, but you've got to, nothing wrong with hiding your big hitters and moving into the game later, or making it difficult for the playing list to kill them.
Yeah, so I'm running I've built a new Chaos list at the moment. That's been my latest baby I've been working on. And I'm going to be interested to see how it does against a flyer list. So I'm hoping, I've had some pretty good success. Like today I played against Tau, did really well against that. And it just managed to there was one time my opponent was just like, I can't shoot anything. I was like, you have to kill me in the psychic phase then, won't you? So really good game.
And then, you terrible troll, you.
So I've had some really good success with that against the Gravis tanks from the Claydis Gravis tanks, whatever they are, from Custodes and bikes and stuff. So it'll be interesting
to see how long they stay at the top of the meta, because obviously they're the new Castellan, aren't they? With the extra hoodoo of being Forge World, because it's a love or hate thing with Forge World, isn't it? I think lovely models, but there's always that one unit or that one thing where you go, why is that so ridiculously good value? And I know there's experimental rules, so 300 points, people still going to take it? Probably not.
No, I don't know if it'll go up that much, but I think maybe 250 fit rather than 210, 260.
It gives people a choice then, doesn't it? I think 210 is just, you look at things equivalent, like a Storm Raven is 100 points more for equivalent reasonable firepower.
Yeah.
If that can't have the invuln save and isn't it tough?
Forge World's a tricky one because you get some really nice point efficient units, and then the others are just so awful. They're just a million miles apart. Like somewhere in between would be great.
Yeah.
But give me a couple of options.
I suppose we're the ones who break it, aren't we? We're the gamers who go, oh, that's really undercosted. Everybody's got 3. Yeah. But that's how you make money.
Yeah. So, but mate, I'm not going to keep you much longer because I really appreciate your time. And it's a Saturday evening for you, and I'm sure you've got things to do. But
my wife is at work, and I am the designated parent. So, but there you go.
So just before we wrap things up, mate, I think we've kind of, gone over a lot about that kind of stuff. Oh, one thing I didn't ask you, what does it do well against? What army do you see on the other side of the table when you think, ding, ding, got this one? Obviously, player skill in first turns could be a bit more, there's always variables, right? But
I would say if you haven't got, do you know what? If you've got any sort of mech, or you've got any sort of kind of mixed arms, a little bit of mech and a little bit of infantry, or you haven't got anything that can match me for speed, I'm loving it. So even things like orcs, I don't mind playing orcs. They can do a bit of damage, but I'll just keep pounding you with firepower, and you'll use your CPs in the first couple of turns for Grot Shield and for mobbing up, or for teleporter, for Daka and things like that, and firing twice, and then I'm through it. It really is anything where you haven't got the ability to give me minuses, you haven't got the firepower to shoot me down first turn. Great, I'm all over that. And if you're a deep strike reliant list, if you're a second turn alpha kind of thing, and that's what you go for, I can block you right in the corner. Again, when I played Manny's Death Watch at the Mayhem, I had him blocked in the last quarter of the board when he came in turn 2.
Mm-hmm.
A turn of shooting, my second turn to reposition and be placed, off you go. Because it's effectively, I had 8 planes and 3 tanks in a character. It's like having 11 planes that you can make such massive anti-deep strike goals.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's another thing to consider.
I suffered that. I got tabled in the Belgium event.
Yeah, don't put too much stuff in reserves. If you really need space to operate in, a good plane list will punish you.
Yeah, definitely. So one thing I'm going to ask everybody that comes on is, what one thing would you like to see changed, or what would you like to see maybe added to the game? So if you could send a wish off to the rules writers of GW, what would it be? Like you said about, you called the rule a 3 before. I want to just do that. What's one thing you would like to see?
Do you know, I think I'd actually like the game to go down to 1750.
Okay, yeah.
And/or I'd like it to be a 2 detachment game. Because I think still at 2K, it's just that little bit of, you can get everything you want. You can cherry pick all the units you want. You can have all the CPs that you want. You can build lists that have 20 odd CPs easily, and have all the buffs and all the stacks, and issues with model count and issues with time. I remember when I got back to 40K the first time, it was 1,500 points. That was the limit, and you really were same as tables, same amount of terrain, but it really was making you make the choices about the direction of list. And I do feel that models are cheaper now, obviously points wise, not money wise, and you can fit so much more in. I think that would it would add an extra layer to the game.
Yeah,
I spend so much time theorizing about lists, writing lists, making little notes on my iPad about lists.
Yeah,
that's, for me, it would just be that more of a challenge.
1750. I've got one coming up. I'm doing Greetings of the Warp in a couple of weekends. Really nice event. It's like a 30 mana. Some good players going as well for this one. And 1750. And I'm like, I got to make some hard choices here. So my list is, all I've got is a battalion, 1 battalion, and then I've got a Supreme Command detachment.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest, I'm like, I've got like 90 points left. What do I put in? There's nothing really worth putting in 90 points for. But if I had 2K, I'm like, right, straight away, another battalion comes in. I can max that unit out exactly how I want it, or I can get that additional unit that I is going to really make it, maybe it's dual threats or something in the list. So yeah, I'm going to see what I can do with that. But it is making a lot of hard choices. It means that a lot of the soup element of, let's say they've got Chaos Marines, Demons, and something else. You kind of have to sack one of those off because your efficiencies sort of go out the window because you can't buff everything, right? It's 1750. So it's like, well, I'll tell you what, let's get rid of that and let's just go for, it keeps it a little bit more mono-faction because then you can build those efficiencies in.
I'll be interested to see what some of you guys say. I mean, I'm sure some people will say that they want to see it go to a mono codex, which for me, the game is built around synergies and different combinations. I don't think Games Workshop want that. They want you to have a chaos list that's got some demons in and has got super heavy from this book. That they want that flexibility. Look at assassins; we're just killed, and it's got used for those models. They're great. They're a great fun part of the game.
Yeah.
So it's finding ways to make it. So like things like the plane list, they are really good because they're extreme. Because here's 8 or 9 models that some of your models can't interact with, can't shoot with, can't really damage, can just stand there and wave at for most of the game. They're outranged or they can't charge it, whatever. Pick your poison. If you reduce the points, I'm 2 planes down. And that probably hurts me more than it hurts you in terms of my offense and my damage. So for me, those really extreme lists can't be as extreme because, as you've said, you've lost 250 to 300 points of a detachment or a unit there. You need to target up somewhere else. You can be tabled more easily, for example, in ITC. So that's where I'd love it to go, but I think the cold, hard fact of it is more models in an army means more money. So I don't think we'll see that anytime soon.
Well, I mean, GW, to be fair, have their Warhammer World events are 1750.
Yeah, I was meant to go to that one this month, but I unfortunately had to give my ticket back in because of clashes with my wife's work. But I've seen, having said that, I've been to a couple of tournaments now with chess clocks.
Yeah.
And I know lots of people I see moan about, chess clocks are terrible, I don't want to use it. The last, we used them at Mayhem and I was helping with the reffing team for that. That's the first 40K tournament I've ever been to where we've used chess clocks on every table if you want one. And we've never had anybody at the end of the round complaining about time or not finishing the game.
Yeah.
And from players that I know, good friends sometimes, who I know can be slow or don't finish games, done, easy peasy. Because when you know it's clocked and it's there, makes you more efficient. So I think that's the way the game's going to go.
Yeah, I won't play with that one now.
I think, I'd love to say that the social contract, when you walk up and shake somebody's hand every time, is honoured by everybody in the same way. It's sad to say it isn't. I would say there's a real minority of players who will try and screw you over like that. Yeah. But you don't want to have your whole weekend ruined by it. Yeah. I think the safest way now is you go, well, let's play with a chess clock. It makes it fair. And if you brought an army that doesn't let you have half of the time and work effectively, that's not really a good choice.
That comes down to list design, doesn't it? I mean, we could probably talk about for hours on this one, but what I always do is I go up to the table and I say, hey man, do you mind if we use a chess clock? Even if they've got 4 knights, and I think this game's definitely going to time, for example. And I say, look, the reason why is because that way we can just let the best player win this game. That I'm not going to take up any of your time, and we can respect that even before we've rolled any dice or anything. And then I can also say, look, and the other thing of why I want to use it with you is because I want to use it in every single game. So then they don't feel like they're being picked on, like, oh, you've got orcs, chess clock going down on you, my friend. It gets rid of that tension to say, look, I've used this in every game. Battlefield Birmingham, I got 5 out of 5 favourite game votes. And it was probably because of that conversation I had at the start to say, you're kind of setting that expectation of, I want the game to go like this. Are you on board with, do you have that same feeling? And they're like, yeah, that sounds great. Cool, let's have the best game ever then. It's brilliant.
And I think it's how you approach it. I mean, because coming back to ETC, chess clocks are compulsory. Because even though there's no prize, it's just the kudos of winning, and you get 4.5 hours for a round. But I mean, obviously for language difficulties, that is for you to, as a team, pair off your 8 players against 8. It's usually around 4 hours for a game. We're still having to use a chess clock. Because there are still people from previous ETCs that would get through and literally barely get 3 turns in their 4-hour game with an opponent. So chess clocks are compulsory, and it's like you said, it's not bad to say to every opponent, well, I'm using it in every game, mate. I need to practice using it for this big event in the summer. So that just helps tidy over a little bit.
Yeah. Well, mate, thank you so much. Where can people find out more about kind of, let's say, how England are getting on and yourself and stuff? Where's the best place? You guys you've got a Facebook page, anywhere where they can follow the success of England or follow the ETC a little bit more, maybe support the team, the home nation, or give us some stick if you're, from over the pond and you want to send yeah.
We have our Team England 40K community page. So if you search for that on Facebook, you'll be able to find us. There is a closed England kind of, as a group page. That isn't as active at the moment, but usually in the recruitment phase at the start of the year when we're talking about who the captain's going to be for the next year, because that's an internal kind of voting system, and looking at practices and kind of getting involved and declaring your interest in being involved with the team, that's where we'll do that. We don't do that on the public page. So you just need to message the community page after you kind of like and join that community. And myself, one of the other members of that on the admin team, will add you. We're going to be sharing lots of details about our preparation for the ETC this summer on that community page. Some details of some exciting new sponsors coming up soon. We're going to be giving you some media and some updates from our games as we're over there and the prep and the armies as we go. So hopefully a little bit more information about the process this year as we go. Because win, lose or draw, I think it's really important for the team, if we're going to keep growing and we're going to actually become a more successful team, to find new players. We are really lucky as a country. England has tons and tons of 40k players who are really at the top of the game, and we'll see that at big events like SoCal and like LVO. We're going to see English players going over and winning, and we'd like to have you on the team. So do come along and give us a look if you're interested, or if it sounds like something you'd like to be involved in. I mean, it's an eight-player team event, but we're taking a group of 13 people over this year associated with the team, between press officers, support players, coaches. You want to come and be involved. It isn't just 8 guys who go over a year and don't talk to anybody else.
Yep.
So we'd love to have you be involved.
Yeah, I'll be there with obviously the Glasshammer guys doing the commentary, giving some stick out, I expect. I'll be doing plenty of interviews as well. And the more I can put on obviously the Vanguard Tactics channel, I'll try and do that as well. So, mate, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Wonderful. Thanks for having me.
No, take care, mate. And we'll see you all again soon.